Hi, my name is Pinky Ghelani, and you are watching Pinky TV. It's season 3 of What Women Want Online, and this season's theme is unlearn. We have conversations with real people who are absolutely open and honest with their journeys. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know where you are watching from. And if you are on YouTube, subscribe to this channel so you can be the first to get episodes like this, more episodes like this, and be inspired here online. We are filming at Gem Suites in Nairobi, Kenya, and I will let you know how you could win a Safaricom phone later on in the show. Make sure you keep watching. I'm so excited because Dr. Patricia Murugami is my guest today. And before she says anything, I'm going to read a little excerpt from her book. It's called Rise, the 4-Way Manifesto for Life and Legacy. And you will find out why I'm starting off with this paragraph. I can't toot my own horn syndrome. It's basically false modesty. False modesty is another saboteur that gets in the way of becoming your next best self, especially for women. It is usually founded on cultural norms that are dedicated from a patriarchal perspective that women were to be seen, not heard. Our work was meant to be speaking for itself, if at all. This made women never considering tooting their own horn. Any woman who spoke about her achievements or sought a leadership opportunity was seen to be vain and treated with contempt. However, workplaces and organizations have since evolved. Office politics have become more toxic, and the fact that opportunities are limited make it imperative to speak about your achievements in an authentic way that enables you to get a chance to make an impact at the next level. I love that you featured this in your book, and the reason that I've started the show with this, because, you know, it's all about unlearning. And in previous shows, I've always introduced my guest. But this season, I'm throwing the challenge onto my guest. Like you said, you know, we've not been taught to be able to toot our own horns, to be able to introduce ourselves in an authentic way that makes an impact. So I would like you to introduce yourself and teach us how we can do this thing.
Great. Thank you so much, Pinky, for hosting me and hosting me in the very first show of a very unprecedented year. Coming out of 2020, I know 2021 is another unprecedented year.
Absolutely.
For us to harvest the lessons that we learned and unlearned. And so I'm going to embrace the challenge. My name is Dr. Patricia Murugami. I'm the Chief Executive and founder of Breakthrough Leadership Transformation. On December 5th, 2020, I became a published author of my very first of a series of books, Rise. I'm a certified coach. I have been an educator, having worked in industry, and now catalyzing the potential of leaders across the globe, starting with our very continent, Africa. And to do that, I do it through leadership circles, through conversations, through being mentored, mentoring, through a podcast, YouTube channel. And I think the thing that really anchors me is being a daughter of God.
Wow.
Yeah. Stripped of all the titles and the awards, having won the Top 40 Under 40 award in 2020 when I was just 34, and the National Diversity and Inclusion Award in 2019, which was a voting process and then followed with a judging process. You know, stripped of all those titles, a daughter of God, then a daughter.
Yes.
To my parents.
Yes.
And then a wife, a sister, a mother to my children, and a friend to many. And hopefully the mark that I hope to leave on earth is that I was an elevator, that when anyone gets in touch with anything that I have done, they were able to rise and become their next best selves.
Is that the name of your podcast?
Your next best self, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that because, you know, it is that whole thing of leveling up.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't know if you've seen this, it's a meme on Facebook that, you know, I wish we didn't say that we get older. I wish we just say we're leveling up because that sounds a lot more badass. And I agree. I think that, you know, whenever I speak to people, whenever I'm talking about personal branding, I'm always saying that you cannot be the same person that you were 10, 5, even 2 years ago. It's always about evolution, but
That's
allowing
right.
yourself to evolve.
Exactly. And
Yes.
that means that what got me here may not be what will get me to the next level.
That's it.
But sometimes we are so attached to what it is that we're good at for the last decade, the last 5 years,
Yes.
that unfortunately it becomes then the barrier that prevents us from becoming our next best selves. And you see, the idea is it's evolution, to your point.
Yes.
That I should compare myself not with you, not with my classmates, not with my sisters, my friends, but with who I was yesterday.
Absolutely.
And if today I've just made a little change, movement forward compared to yesterday, then I'm continuously in that journey, very intentionally.
I love that. I love everything you said there, because, you know, we're always competing with other people.
And social media doesn't help.
It does not.
Well, it helps also. We can do a lot
Yes,
with it as you're
yes,
doing.
yes.
But it's true that
Yes.
sometimes the scrolling through Instagram and you're thinking those lives are so amazing.
Yes.
But you forget that that's a curated impression.
Absolutely.
But all of us are struggling,
Yes.
you know, beyond and behind the masks.
Yes.
So you're absolutely spot on right there.
And that's it, you know, you can only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And this whole thing of leaving a legacy or touching a life or lives and making the lives better, where did that come from, Patricia?
That's so interesting. Such a great question. You know, I started my whole career as an auditor, imagine. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes,
How
so
about
where
that?
you
To
were
give
in-
anyone hope that you can recalibrate and reinvent yourself.
And unlearn.
And unlearn.
And relearn, yes.
And that's a great point because at the time I did marketing at the University of Nairobi. But you know, the other day we were launching a program at Diageo and someone was saying, Patricia, you're an overnight success. You just left Strathmore, and how is it you have such, you know, great solutions? And someone raised their hand and said, no, she's not an overnight success.
No.
I remember us in campus in Lower Kabete, University of Nairobi, she was running a circle.
Wow.
It was so interesting. I couldn't even remember that. So you're asking where it came from. I think the quest to find my purpose started a long time ago. I kept feeling maybe it's the people you surround yourself with. I know my mom, my dad have been such pivotal pillars, and I talk about, you know, the shoulders we stand on. We can only see far, as
Yes.
like Newton said, because of the shoulders we stand on, and they have been permanent shoulders right there. And maybe I saw it in them, subordinating some of their goals for a higher purpose for us as a family. And so somehow subconsciously it started picking up. And then I was introduced into clubs and friends who were either doing that or thinking about it. You know, they say, show me your 5 friends and we'll
Yes,
tell you who
your
you are and where
future.
you're going.
Yeah.
And it's true. And so I learned a bit around personality development when I was in campus and soon after high school. And I thought, if I've learned this, then, and they've allowed me to share this, let me start a circle of personality development. And it's funny that then that client remembers it 20 years back.
Wow.
And so I think the seed was planted subconsciously from all
Yes.
these very important people. But more importantly, it was what I did with it. Because then I joined an audit firm. It was great. You learn how to work hard and
Yes.
long.
Which has never
And
killed anyone.
I loved it. Exactly. I talk
Yes.
about that in the book.
Yes.
And looking back now, when you have to roll up your sleeves and be an entrepreneur, nothing phases us. We've sold so many books, and just like the one you're going to get, we've tied ribbons with my children.
Wow.
Yes, red ribbons for Christmas, each book. And even for the launch, 100 books done in 3 hours the night before. Because we said, you know, each piece of work you do is a prayer. See, yes, they're going to pay us, but what if we did it so well that that in itself is for a higher purpose? And so, you know, really the story continues, and over time, I started feeling, no, I can do more, but I don't know what more is. And so through the audit firms, all the big 4 consulting, in Bamburi, I remember, then I got married. And when you get married, it's a whole different shift. And I thought, okay, I'm taught that marriage should be a piece of heaven on earth.
Yes.
But I'm working such long hours and I don't feel like I'm really making an impact.
Yes.
Let alone married.
Yes.
This young daughter we have is going to call me auntie if I'm not careful.
Yes.
So when you combine all those, and I talk about listen to life's whispers, because if you don't listen, the whisper becomes louder and more painful.
Absolutely.
And so I said, you know what, I talked to everyone I could. I'm looking to change. I think I can train, develop, do something in that area. And I didn't even know what. And then Strathmore Business School came headhunting, and I joined them when the business school was a very small business school. And we grew the business school with an amazing team over 10 years. And then as I finished my doctorate, I felt, no, I have to help people break through those barriers that are self-imposed and sometimes externally imposed.
Right.
And so it's been a journey of choosing to unlearn certain lies we tell ourselves.
Yes.
Certain truths that have expired, you know?
Yes.
But also asking yourself, where I am now is not by accident.
Yes.
Then I've got to give more than I have received somehow. But how do I do that? And so here we are, 2020, a crisis, and I said, maybe I should write a book.
Wow.
And give ourselves a deadline, held myself accountable, and I didn't start the year with that thought. So really this story is to share that when we sit here, I'm sure people look at us and think we've got it all figured out.
Yes, absolutely.
No, we don't. It's just like take a step, the light that you can see, and then when you take the next step, the light will move a little bit farther, and you'll see a little bit farther, and to have the courage to ask for help. So I've never been afraid to hire the coach, seek a mentor, get reverse mentors who are younger than me, who I should be mentoring them.
Right.
Challenge myself a little bit. I think the pain of struggling over 10 years or so to figure out what my professional calling was taught me that you can't walk alone.
You've said so much in that I just feel like soaking it all in, but there's also there's so much I want to ask. The first thing that made me stop and gave me goosebumps is that you said it's a prayer, like a prayer. I teach my children that their words are prayers, that you don't have to kneel down and say a prayer, or, with Hinduism, it's a mantra, it's a repetitive mantra, but your words are prayers. What do you think of that?
I love it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. We've started this year. I personally started this year on a rough patch with someone very close to me, going through a tough time. And I've had to really ask myself and also be very mindful of what I'm listening to and who I'm allowing to speak into our space and my space.
Yeah.
And there are some conversations I quickly have a very clever way of slowing them down very quickly.
Yes.
Because I know that everyone is well-meaning.
Yes.
And I've asked myself, have I done this also to others? And so I'm constantly telling my children, and so this is so great,
yes,
that your words are a manifestation
absolutely
of your soul.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
So if I'm saying negative things, it means that deep down I'm feeling negative. And so maybe I need to journal. I carried my journal here. But maybe I need to journal and get it out, so that I can also examine what is it that is eating at my soul.
Yeah.
But to remember that we have such power. This seat we're sitting on started with someone's thought,
Yes.
then someone's word, and then it was created. So in other words, words have the power to create.
Indeed.
And so, vision boards are something else we've been doing, and we do them for our corporate clients. My daughter did her first vision board when she was 5.
Wow.
And it's interesting how those vision boards, because it's words and pictures,
Yes,
actually help your subconscious mind, which is 30,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. So imagine what you're doing is so incredible. Actually, that's building a legacy right there, Pinky, that your children will know from the very onset, let me mind my language.
absolutely.
Let me see what I was about to say before I
Yes.
just
Say it.
Which
Yes.
is emotional intelligence,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But more importantly, let me choose to plant seeds with my words.
Yes.
That will germinate based on the land, mind, hearts that they land
That's
on.
it.
And so I'm very much with you that our work, our words are prayers.
Yes.
We don't have to sit in the mosque, in the church all day long. Really, it's a testimony of our lives that makes the whole difference.
Yes.
And so even what you tell yourself, and Brené Brown, who we both admire
Yes.
and follow, talks about your self-talk.
Yes.
So you wake up and the first thing you say, oh my goodness, I'm late. No. Goodness, I woke up. Thank you.
Yes.
Even if you're late.
Yes.
And instead of saying, I'm late, say, now I'm going to have to make up to get to. So you kind of put it in the affirmative.
Yes.
And she says, speak to yourself, and I quote her in the book, like you'd speak to your best friend.
Yeah.
What if we started a movement? What women want? Women want peace. Women want that psychological safety. But sometimes I think we don't give ourselves that peace and psychological safety because the words we are telling ourselves
Horrible.
are demeaning,
Yes.
horrible,
Yes.
diminishing, curses rather than prayers.
Absolutely.
You see, so there we have really something that, and I'm so happy you're starting this in the beginning of the year.
Yes.
That we can start to do what I call a word audit.
Yeah.
Just see what kind of thoughts and words have I been
Am I
thinking
using?
about
Yeah.
up to 12 o'clock today. Okay, so can I recalibrate and unlearn that? What's the trigger? What's made me do that? Is it because I saw someone do something that it's then infectious? And can I try and turn this so that I'm the one doing the contagion
Yes.
of positive words, and realizing that, you know what, there are some tough days and there are days I may not, but let me pick myself up
Yes.
and say, okay, I'm going to try and be more positive in the words that I speak. So absolutely with you on that.
See, I'm like absorbing everything you're saying. And this I'm like 45 minutes? No, I don't think so. We're going to have you back. But another thing that you said was listen to life's whispers. And I really, I strongly believe in this. I always say to my followers on Instagram that the universe first will tap you. And if you don't pay attention, then it gives you a little push, then a nudge. And if you still don't pay attention, it shoves you. Like literally, and you're in for that rude shock. And I think that's when you have your dark night of the soul, because there are ways that we need to be on our purpose. And I feel that the universe does guide you.
Yes.
Like you said, they're whispers.
They are.
But you have to be so aware, and this is what I feel that you are, Patricia. When you talk about, from at a young age to university, how you were completely aware, maybe unknowingly, but you knew that there's something, and I need to find my purpose within everything that I'm going through. How would you suggest to anybody who's watching to be aware when life is whispering to you?
Such a great question. Even as you say that, I'm thinking to myself, was I aware? But yeah, maybe unknowingly,
I think
right?
you were. Unknowingly? Yes,
Unknowingly.
definitely.
So the advice I would suggest is make time to befriend silence. Make time, not for silence, but to befriend silence.
Yes. Especially in a noisy world. Today,
Noisy
there's a lot of
cluttered,
noise.
and so much is tugging, and for women even more so.
Yes.
And if you can just start, if you believe in God, it can be a meditative prayer. It can also be moments of just pure silence, because there are people who pray, but all they do is talk. So they never even hear what God is telling them, right? And you can't even get in a word.
Yeah.
But I have found this year, very intentionally, one of the things that I like to coach our clients is choose a word of the year.
Wow.
Choose a word that's a theme for your year.
Okay.
And so 2019 was my year of being intentional. 2020 was my year of courage, goodness. I'm not sure whether the word chose me or I chose it.
You chose the word before.
In January.
Yeah, wow.
And then March.
You see?
March 13th postponed
Your words
our
are your
global. Yes. Our global conference was March 14th.
Wow.
People had already flown into the country.
Wow.
We shut down the country borders literally on the day before. The courage required to postpone, communicate with everyone, refund those who weren't,
Yes.
figure out, and then we held it in November 7th, and by far, it was probably better than it would have been in March, because
I
people
agree.
also had time to think.
Yes.
So if you can choose, first thing is choose a theme for your year. And many times think about something that you want to grow in. So 2021 is my year of abundance.
Amen.
Yeah. and abundance, you can then write somewhere, break down what abundance means to you.
It's so much.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And so by choosing that, then it means that somehow subconsciously, I need to keep checking, how am I doing with respect to this word?
Yes.
And you see, we do performance management appraisals at work with our businesses. We have dashboards, we have all sorts of things. But I dare say we rarely spend the time, one, to develop a personal strategy, which is work that we do separately, but more importantly, to assess that little goal you've written. How are you doing every week, every quarter? So as opposed to business reviews, business quarterly reviews, I actually propose personal quarterly reviews. And better if you're married or you're dating, a couple review. And then a family review, so that you course correct like a ship, little by little, and then soon you're moving in the right direction. So if we can actually choose a word, and it's interesting, I was asking my daughters and my husband, so what is your word? And just listening to their choice of word helped me also see how can I help them make that a reality. So choose the word, and then choose intentionally to befriend silence. Start with 10 minutes. Robin Sharma, whose work I follow, talks about the 5 a.m. club.
Yes.
And it can be 4 a.m., it can be 3 a.m., whatever time it works for you. But before you meet the world, meet yourself. Call yourself to a meeting. Do it in the beginning of the day. And because we treat our phones as if they're an appendage to our hands, keep your phone in another room before you sleep, unless you are in the circumstances where you are likely to get an emergency call.
Yes.
And then choose to wean yourself, like we wean children off food, or off, milk only.
Yes.
Wean yourself off the phone 30 minutes before you sleep, with another 10 minutes, 15, 20, 30 of silence. And then you'll find even our blood pressure cools off. But more importantly, you have a chance to really reflect.
Yes.
And when you reflect, you start to build self-awareness. And then you also build the courage to start thinking, maybe I need to do a little bit more of this, seek insights from someone, because I can't see myself all round, and I can't see how I'm landing on others and how I'm progressing.
Right.
But it all starts with that self-reflection, and then choosing out of that to be accountable to someone.
I love what you're saying, and I think it's so important. It's such it has to be a part of your lifestyle, especially like how you're saying we're all addicted to our phones at the moment. And I have intentionally now done this. I actually celebrate myself when I don't look at my phone for the first 2 hours of the day.
Well done.
I'm like, yay, I did it.
Yeah.
And especially that evening. And I noticed a shift, one, in energy. That's the first thing that I've noticed, that energetically I have more to give. But then also, this word that you're using, Patricia, which is, again, such a powerful word, intention. I am able to be more intentional and be more aware of my intentions and carry them out. Because I feel for some reason, because the brain, of course, is a very powerful muscle. True. Right? We forget about it. We work out everything else.
Yes.
We forget about our brain. And it is what allows us to create and to, like you said, from this chair, it came from a thought, and the thought is within our minds. Intention, being intentional, creating intentions. Let's just expound a little bit on this word and what you feel intention is and should be.
It's a deep question, and there are positive intentions and not so positive, right? And you've talked about energy, which I think is something that's underrated. I read somewhere that your energy introduces you before you speak.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, even being aware of that is very connected to your intention.
Yes.
So if my intention of coming to this show is negative, for instance, somehow I will see it if I reflect about it. And sometimes our intentions for getting promotions, for moving further up in life, is maybe to get back at so-and-so who said I could never do it, or to prove a point to someone else, or because you think that the Joneses have it better than you. You see, those intentions are not quite the intentions. And so sometimes you could start off with an intention that's not very pure. What I've learned from the readings of Saint Josemaria Escrivá is that you can rectify your intention. I can say, yes, I want to be number one in school. Let's say that's your child. And then why? Because I want to show everybody I can do it, right? Okay.
But
and then why?
Yeah.
And when you go deeper, you actually see that many times the intentions that are negative are born in a space of fear.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we can get to the point of asking ourselves the 5 whys, as they say, to go to the fifth why is when you really unravel the real issue. And that's why I find coaching leaders, a lot of leaders want to have an impact. They want to be billionaires.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And when I ask them, are you running away from or running towards? They're like, we don't even know what that means. And I say, okay, let me give you an example. If your life when you were young was full of poverty, yeah, you very well could be trying to make this money to ensure you never experience poverty again. You're running away from.
Right.
So you're held captive to the fear of being poor. How about you flip that around? Because it happened. So we're not negating that. And now ask yourself, what can I run towards? What's the vision to eradicate poverty in the lives of others?
Yes.
So you see, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Same action, different intentions. So I have found intentions that are building, nourishing, very much are beyond ourselves. They're not only about us. They're about helping others become their next vessels in whatever shape or format. And so when we question our intentions, let's see whether it's self-centered, and then maybe there's a chance to rectify it and purify it, and actually so that in that work that I'm doing that is excellent, it's actually having a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Not only on me being a great professional, which is great, but it's actually helping many other people, because that work in itself, one, is a prayer, but I've also exerted myself and purified my intention.
Yeah.
Again, how do you know whether your intention is negative? You have to examine it in the silence and quiet of your day. But also it requires us to form our consciences. Because until you know, and I think all of us have, at birth, have a natural law in our hearts. Then you know it's formed based on experiences and things and what you learn. But deep down, good is good. When I went to Guangzhou and I see someone being kind, I know that's kindness, even if I don't understand the language.
Yes.
And so this idea of relativism, that things depend on shades of gray rather than white or black, I actually think that there are some things that truly are white and are truly black. And so when you're able to start to check, where am I on the Richter scale in terms of the quality of my intention, and start to do something to move it more towards the white, then we start seeing people, what we're saying is teams that don't need to be supervised.
Right.
And we've seen that last year.
Yeah.
You could see your team. So if it is fear that makes your team work, then it's just going to all come tumbling down. So back to intention.
It's, I mean, again, like I said, there's so much there that I can take and, you know, sort of just take little parts of it and we can, what's the word? Open up and dissect and take so much away from that. The intention has to be pure. Good is good. And you said it's sometimes, a lot of people do choose. But sitting with yourself, as you are encouraging, can be very uncomfortable.
Say that again.
I mean, for anybody who's done it, it's hard. You know, you can say, oh, sit with yourself in silence, and people are like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And you do it, like you said, you know, at least 10 minutes. People can do it for a minute. And, okay, I did that. Okay, now I'm a good person, or whatever it is. Sitting with yourself. I always say, learn the names of your demons. Learn their names. Yes, you have demons, but learn the names. Sit down and understand who they are and why they are there. That is uncomfortable.
Yes.
How do you suggest we feel the comfort, or find the comfort in the discomfort?
Okay. First, I really like that. Name your demons. That's really profound.
Yeah.
That I'm taking away. I'm going to reflect on that today.
Okay.
Secondly, why are we chasing comfort?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it feels good, right?
Yeah. Get comfortable with the discomfort. Get comfortable with the discomfort of knowing that, you know what? Yeah, this is not ever going to be easy. Some days maybe. But I have found that having some questions helps you examine yourself a little bit better. So I remember when I was much younger, and we do it with our children, what was the highlight of your day? You know, what was the low light of your day? what can I do better tomorrow to help others? See, simple questions. And as a family, then sometimes we don't do it so often. I think we should pick that up. We then ask us, we then have gotten them to ask the question, for us to ask each other, Mom, what can you do to help me do this better? And for us to also proactively ask, how can I help you to move that goal forward? You see, which goes back to unlearning.
Right.
Because we were taught never to ask.
This is how it is? This is what you do?
Yes.
Because I said so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I'm bringing up girls, and I mentor a lot of young men, and I'm asking them to give themselves permission to become beginners. Because you see, what happens is that the more we are accustomed to what we do and we do it well, the more we get what will come up in my next book, intellectually arrogant. We're like, I don't know these things. I mean, what is this I'm even doing? You see? And that's where it starts crumbling down. So to ask some questions. In my journal, one of the things that I thought, because I knew that people find that so difficult, at the end of December, there were some specific questions just to look back. And I think many people will be watching this with a reflective mind of 2020.
Right.
And so one of the questions that you could ask is, what stands out most in 2020? What's on your gratitude list? You see, because gratitude is really, as you said, it's like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the better we become. What are your hopes, dreams, and prayer intentions for 2021? What are you going to start doing, and what are you going to stop doing? Mm-hmm. Because you see, until we get to be curious, what am I going to learn, unlearn, relearn, based on how my day was? That's a simple one. That sounds simple, but it's not simple to do.
Yes. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what have I unlearned today? What have I relearned? And what's a new thing that I have seen it from a different light and I'm learning it?
Yes.
So to make the most of that time, I think to be curious and to ask ourselves some questions, but to not leave it there, to then get someone you can be accountable to. I think that's where it all comes down.
Right.
Because most of us keep our goals and ideas and challenges secret.
To ourselves, yes.
Yeah. What I have found more recently, and I've always been a very private person, be wisely vulnerable.
Yes.
So choose wisely who it is you're going to trust with the thing that you're working on or struggling with.
Yeah.
And hopefully they have earned your trust. And if they, one reason or the other, are not trustworthy, the issues with them. Mm-hmm. Don't carry that with you. Pick the lesson and then move on. Yeah. So accountability is fundamental. One thing to do it myself, question myself, but the accountability piece is now ultra uncomfortable.
I agree.
Because it's saying, I know we had agreed last week that I would do this, and frankly, I forgot the goal the minute I left this room. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about why you forgot. Oh, that's even more important. Let's unravel what that is. And by doing so, our self-knowledge deepens.
That's it.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
I tell you.
It is so important.
It's so
the things that you can learn from this book, by the way, the questions over here is, have you ever struggled with any of the following? What is my purpose? How can I rise to become a better version of myself? What is sabotaging my progress? And I love this. Who has my back in this turbulent world? I mean, I'd love to discuss that, but I want people to buy this book.
Great.
So that they can find out for themselves.
Wonderful.
One thing that you mentioned was about the boy child and how you're mentoring young men. Mm. And, you know, as much as on What Women Want, you know, we're pro-women, we're women empowerment, we cannot forget that it is also our role as women in society to encourage and empower the boy child and men. And you say here, the boy child challenge. This is an emerging challenge that is affecting young men. In some countries such as Kenya and other developing economies, there is been a significant focus on developing the girl child due to historical and cultural injustices. This focus is on leveling the playground. However, certain assumptions were also made in this progressive work, including that men will know how to relate with more self-aware and assertive ladies. So I teach my son this, like, respect your sister. respect women who are strong-minded, that men would be open to this new shifting paradigm of women working outside the home, that men would not feel a threat to their identity of being the traditional breadwinner, that men knew all about leadership, yet more recently, many male leaders confess that they do not have the same high levels of skills and competences that their fellow female counterparts have. It's a whole, it goes on. But why did you include, why is this important?
It's fundamental because my mission is to make the world more human and more humane, not more female. And I've done a lot of female-centric work.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of women in leadership work, placing women on boards. We're making that more inclusive, placing more minorities, people who have a different ability, people who are off the age spectrum that you'd expect to be serving on boards or in leadership teams. And I think that last year really taught us that we really have to be more human and humane.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, the dignity of the human person is the dignity of the human person. And it takes two to tango, you see? So if I'm going to speak at a board meeting and trying to help them leverage and strengthen their board leadership capabilities, how many times, have I been told? First of all, I can see in their faces, they're looking at me like, she's so young. What can she teach us? Yeah? So I laugh. In fact, I find it such a compliment. And some are very daring. They say, yeah, even before I was now doctor. They're like, Patricia, and you remind me of my grandchild. First I say, what a compliment. If I look like, how old is your grandchild? 25? Oh my goodness. I'm 20 years older than that. Yeah. And I remind you, what a compliment. And so you see, we can't go into this agenda with a war mentality. Yes. It is not us versus the men. No. As a matter of fact, the reason that you see some of their responses is because they're fearful. Yes. No one has shown them how else to do it. They don't have the privilege of having a strong mother like you and the example of their father treating you well and you being able to become your next best self right in front of their eyes. Not many young men, let alone the older version. And so I have found that as opposed to fighting back, even in that context where I have been asked, you look like my granddaughter, then I realize that I know that for them this is such a paradigm shift.
It is.
It is so visibly uncomfortable for them to be learning from me.
Yes.
They're like, where are we here? Kind of thing. And
it's sitting with your discomfort.
And then I realize because I'm interested, because I know everyone wants to become a better version of themselves, no matter what they put on the outside.
Yes.
And so then I just make them feel at ease by going straight into some of the things that I know they're struggling with. Yes. And starting to show solutions. And I'm reminded of one board legacy series we did for a fairly established board. And one of the ones where I thought, hey, this is going to be a tough ride, Yeah. At the end of it, and he was approaching late 70s, he said, Dr. Murugami, I wish I knew this when I was half my age.
I know. That's it.
The mistakes I've made because of not knowing emotional intelligence at all levels, let alone here at the board level, not understanding my conflict style, not recognizing that I needed to have a legacy plan, and you create your legacy every day. You don't wait and write the will or whatever it is. That's not legacy. No. And I told him it's not late. And for him to be vulnerable like that.
And be willing to unlearn.
Yes. And then to say it. And I said, it's been an unmerited privilege serving you.
Wow.
Unmerited. Because what did I do to really be the one helping him move forward together with his board? But the fact that he said that, he also gave permission to the other younger, less powerful board members to recognize that they also have a journey. And so what I have found is that no one should be left behind. Yes. We either all move forward or we stop it.
That's it.
So as much as, we are leveling the playing ground. Yes. We are not tipping it for one group.
It equal.
No, we are leveling it.
Yes.
Does that mean that we need to develop this particular group, women for instance, so that they can find their voice? I'm reminded of some work we did with some Kenyans who don't feel like they're Kenyan because the part of Kenya they live in is like not Kenya.
Wow.
And those women, I remember, one of them told me, you know, Patricia, Daktari, we are not allowed to speak louder than where my fingers are reaching.
Oh.
Huh? So to unlearn that
Yes.
and to recognize that you only find your voice by using your voice meant I had to give them homework to even go back to their spouses, to their bosses, and start to have, I would say, unraveling conversations.
Yeah. Uncomfortable conversations.
Which are very, in fact, even just rehearsing it. I was even helping them rehearse. So pretend you're talking to me and I'm your boss, and let's see how that goes. But you see, when all that is done, we're helping the world shift.
Exactly.
And we're then starting to do something that will have a multi-generational impact. So the future is not female. And I know I will be told a few things for saying that. But then again, we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
We can't just look around this space. You can't do it alone.
Yes.
And so the sooner we also give men the chance to find their voice in this new world and to then use their voice, then we start to see lower levels of gender-based violence. We start to see less mansplaining at board level, where I give an idea and Patrick gives it and they say, Patrick, that's great. And I leave there
the same thing.
So upset. No, don't get upset. Say,
Yeah.
Patrick, thank you so much for highlighting
what
light on my
I just
idea.
said. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to working with you
Yes.
to make this a reality. But you see, that takes a lot for us to have such a comeback. You're not fighting. You're actually realizing that they also don't have the level of awareness because they haven't had maybe the opportunities that women have had to start to level that playing ground. And so it's fundamental. It's fundamental. Before I launched the book on the Friday, I was speaking to young men who are Form 2, Form 3. It was on Zoom. First of all, I asked myself, why did I say yes to this? This is the eve of the launch. I haven't even seen the books. There are so many loose ends. Kenyans are last minuters.
Yes.
On Monday, we were 10 people. Now we are approaching 100.
Oh, wow.
We're telling the hotel now we have to close, COVID and all, you know, the protocols. Anyway, I said, I keep my word. So 4 o'clock, 60 minutes with me and this young man. And of course, most of them, the videos were off.
Of
So I
course.
told them, you know, imagine my video is on. I could also put mine off. Let's just see how it feels. And so they started putting on. And I said, those whose videos are not on are the ones I'll ask questions.
Yes.
So the videos came on. But I remember going on to that session with a prayer that may I help these young men find themselves and become their next best selves.
Right.
And if I can do that in 60 minutes, just start the building block.
Yeah.
I even dressed with a cape, you know,
Yeah.
really trying to just
Be
reduce
hip.
this generation gap, you know,
Yeah.
because this really could be my sons.
Yes.
And because I was brought up in a family of boys only, I'm the only girl. It's been incredible, such an honor having brothers who are such gentlemen. I'm the firstborn, but many times I feel like I'm the last one based on the kind of
Because of
love
how they treat you.
and care that I get from them. So I've seen it firsthand that when both men and women are brought up in a space that they can truly exhale and become their next best selves, we are all the better for it.
I'm very sad that I have to stop our interview. This is to be continued, Patricia.
I'm looking forward.
I'm not going to let you go. 2021, we're going to do a lot
Let's
more
do it
of these.
soon. I'm happy to.
Yes, absolutely,
Happy
because
to.
I just can't believe the time has gone like this. And there's so many more questions that I have for you. If you want to win a phone from Safaricom, all you need to do is subscribe to their postpaid option, and I will give that link below. Of course, we will give you details on that, and I want you to be a winner as well. I want to say thank you so much to Patricia for being our guest today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Daktari. It's been an honor, and like I said, you're coming back for sure. You are coming back. I'm going to keep this book on our coffee table as well because it's highly recommended. There's so much I've learned from you, and I thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much, Pinky. I've taken up some nuggets from you, some insights that I'm going to start to reflect on today.
Yes.
And my prayer for you is that you will rise intentionally above and beyond the circumstances that you are facing now in 2021.
Absolutely.
And that our audience may also experience the ability to rise
and to
know that they have it within them if they just ask for the help they need.
I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please take away Patricia's words with you today. Hold them very close to you and believe that you can rise from wherever that you are. Remember, on this show, we remind you to be completely authentic, be who you are, and be brave enough to unlearn and relearn. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.